Assalamu alaikum students, this is your teacher Muhammad Umar Khatak for the subject Organizational Theory and Behavior. And this is our 28th lecture and chapter number 11. And today the topic of our discussion is choice of communication channels. Channels of communication. Now that we have discussed various modes of business communication, why people choose one channel of communication or another, a model of media richness helps explain channel selection among managers. Channel richness. Channels differ in their capacity to convey information. Some are rich in that they can handle multiple cues simultaneously, facilitate rapid feedback, and third, be very personal. Others are lean in the way they score low on these factors. Face-to-face conversation scores highest in channel richness because it transmits the most information per communication episode. Multiple information cues, words, postures, facial expressions, gestures, annotations, immediate feedback, both verbal and nonverbal, and the personal touch of being present. Impersonal written media, such as formal reports and bulletins, rate lowest in richness. In some, rich channels give us the chance to observe. The unconscious aspects of communication help us understand the full meaning of a message. When these aspects are missing, we must look for other clues to deduce the sender's emotions and attitudes. As you can see in the diagram, the formal reports and bulletins, like memos and letters, have very low richness channel. It's a very low richness channel. And as you move towards the right of the diagram, there is pre-recorded speeches and emails which are slightly better in richness. Then there's online discussion groups and groupware voicemails which have slightly better high channel richness. Then we have live speeches and telephone conversations and video conferencing and face-to-face conversations with the highest amount of channel richness. Choosing communication methods. The choice of channel depends on whether the message is routine. Routine messages tend to be straightforward and have minimal ambiguity. Channels low in richness can carry them efficiently. Non-routine communications are likely to be complicated and have the potential for misunderstanding. Managers can communicate them effectively only by selecting rich channels. Channel richness is a helpful framework for choosing your mode of communication. It is not always easy to know when to choose oral rather than written communication, for instance. Experts say oral communication or FaceTime with coworkers, clients, and upper management is key to success. However, if you seek out the CEO of just to say hello, you may be remembered as an annoyance rather than as a star. And signing up for every meeting on the calendar to increase your face time is counterproductive to getting the work of the organization done. Your communication choice is worth a moment's thought. Is that message you need to communicate better suited to a discussion or a diagram? Whenever you need to gauge the receiver's receptivity, oral communication is usually the better channel. The marketing plan for a new product, for instance, may need to be worked out with clients in person, so you can see their reactions to each idea you propose. Also, consider the receiver's preferred mode of communication. Some individuals focus on content better in written form, and others prefer discussions. For example, if your manager requests a meeting with you and you may not want to ask for an email exchange instead. The pace of your work environment matters too. A fast paced workplace may thrive on pop by meetings, while deadlines heavy team projects may progress faster when scheduled Skype video conferences. Much of what we communicate face to face is in the delivery, so also consider your speaking skills when choosing your communication method. Research indicates the sound of your voice is twice as important as what you are saying. A good speaking voice, clear, moderated, can be a help to your career, while loud, questioning, irritating, immature, falesto, breathy, or monotone voice tones can hinder you. If your voice is problematic, your work teams can help you raise your awareness so you can make changes or you may benefit from the help of each voice. Written communication is generally the most reliable mode for complex and lengthy communications, and it can be the most efficient method for short messages when, for instance, a two sentence can take the place of a 10-minute phone call. But keep in mind that written communication can be limited in its emotional expression. Choose written communication when you want the information to be tangible, verifiable, and on the record. People are usually forced to think more thoroughly about what they want to convey in a written message than in a spoken one. So, your written communications can be well thought out, logical, and clear. But be aware that, as with oral communication, your delivery is just as important as the content. We discussed the level of formality, but note that the managers report grammar mistakes and lack of business formality is unprofessional and unacceptable. People get passionate about grammar. Corporate writing instructor and author Jack Appleman noted, and one study found that 45% of employers were adding training programs to teach grammar and communication skills. On the other hand, some experts argue that the use of social media jargon and abbreviations is good for business. Overall, for your professional success, know your audience when possible and use good grammar. Letters are used in business primarily for networking purposes when a signature is needed to be authenticated. A handwritten thank you note is never a wrong choice for an applicant to send after an employment interview. For instance, and handwritten envelopes often are put right on the receiver's desk, unopened by administrative staff. Although electronic written communications provide authentications by indicating the sender and the date, time sent, a handwritten signature is still preferred and sometimes required for letters and contracts. In general, you should respond to instant messages only when they are professional and initiate them only when you know they will be welcome. Remember that your conversation will not be stored for later reference. There are significant gains and challenges from text messaging in business settings. Texts are cheap to send and receive, and the willingness to be available for quick communication from clients and managers is conducive to good business. However, some users and managers view text messaging as intrusive and distracting. The rules of business etiquette are not yet established, resulting in offenses ranging from text sent at unreasonable hours to serial texting in bursts of short messages that keep receivers' phones buzzing annoyingly. Such a continual presence can also make it hard for employees to concentrate and stay focused. Consider these research findings from a survey of professionals. 84% think that it's inappropriate to write text or emails during formal meetings. 75% think it's inappropriate to read text or emails during formal meetings. 66% think it's inappropriate to write text or emails during any meetings. At least 22% think it's inappropriate to use phones during any meetings. It's best to severely limit personal text messaging during office hours and be cautious in using texting for business purposes. You should discuss using texting for business with people before you can text them for the first time. Set up general availability ground rules and take your cues about when to text from the other person. For longer messages, it is better to use emails. Even though the receiver still might scroll through the message on smartphone, the option of viewing and saving your messages on a computer is preferable. On the corporate level, the returns on using social medias are mixed. Some of the most spectacular gains are in the sales arena, both business to public and business to business. For instance, one sales representative from a virtual meetings company, PGI, landed his fastest sale ever by instantly connected with a potential client after a TweetDeck alerted him that the CEO was tweeting his frustration about web conferencing. Companies are also developing their own internal social networking platforms to encourage employees to collaborate and to improve training, reporting a 300% annual increase in corporate network activity. Some organizations have policies governing the use of social media, but many don't. It is difficult for management to control the content employees post. Even well intentioned employees post comments that could be construed as harmful to the organization's reputation or that reveal confidential or sensitive information. Software that mines social media sites can check up on a job applicant, and the growing field of digital forensics help investigate potential problems with current employees. But cyber sleuthing can be time consuming and expensive. And acting upon violations of an organization's social media policy is tricky. Thus, if you want to use social media for business purposes, make certain you are connected with all levels of management engaged in the effort. And if you would like to mention your business in your personal social media, communicate with your organization about what you would like to do and what you think the potential return of the company may be. Use discretion about which personal social media platforms and apps are acceptable for business communication. Finally, make sure you know your company's social media policies about your corporate confidentiality and your company's view on your privacy. As an individual, you may choose to post a blog on your own blog page, or you may choose to comment on another person's blog. Both options are more public than you may think, and your words are easily reachable by your name via search engines like Google. If others in the company happen to read a critical or negative blog entry or post, there is nothing to keep them from sharing the information with management. You could be dismissed as a result. It is important to be alert to non-verbal aspects of communication and look for these cues as well as the literal meaning of the sender's words. You should be particularly aware of contradictions between the messages. Someone who frequently glances at her wristwatch is giving the message that she would prefer to terminate the conversation no matter what she actually says. For instance, we misinform others when we express one message verbally, such as trust, but non-verbally communicate a contradictory messages that reads, I don't have confidence in you. Information security or security of information. Security is a huge concern for nearly all organizations with private or proprietary information about clients, customers, and employees. Organizations worry about the security of electronic information they seek to protect, such as hospital patient data, physical information that still keep in the file cabinets, and the information they entrust their employees with knowing. Most companies actively monitor employee internet use and email records, and some even use video surveillance and record phone conversations. Necessary though they may be, such practices can seem invasive to employees. An organization can relieve employee concerns by engaging them in the creation of information security policies and giving them some control over how their personal information is used. This is the end of the lecture. Thank you.